Morning, Paul. Good.
Good. It's good to see you.
You too.
Glad I'm not alone today.
You what?
Glad I'm not alone today.
You're never alone, Paul. You're never alone.
Thanks.
Got anybody online? We got anybody online today? Anybody online today? Not yet.
Good morning. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to our June 19th board meeting, our next to last. It's our last regularly scheduled meeting of the fiscal year, and our next to last meeting we will be meeting briefly to wrap up the fiscal year next Monday. We'll begin our meeting, and we're always pleased to begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have Cindy Orr from our Treasurer's Office lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are obviously, you can see we're short supervisor. That we'll take care of that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. With me here on the dais is Vice Chairman and John Howard, and appreciate his support and all the good work that he does. We'll go ahead and begin. Ordinarily, the chair does not initiate motions, but because we're shorthanded, we are going to do a workaround, and so Vice Chairman Howard and I will be taking care of the business. So our first order of business is approval of our minutes and work session from June 5th, and the work session also held on June 14th.
So, you looking for a motion?
Yes, please.
So moved.
I'll make that unanimous and second it and make that unanimous. It carries. Our first presentation today, order of business, is our good sheriff, PJ Allred. He has 2 items of business. One is with the Klontz and Bigler families here. This is very interesting. It's very timely. It's a memorandum for utilizing getting access to DPS and state accident statistics. So go ahead, Sheriff.
Well, you're saying that's what mine is?
Oh, no, well, that one must be,
that was mine, that's not.
that must be coming later. That must be coming later, okay. Well, that is on the agenda, but that's not here, so.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my deal was the approval of the Arizona Department of Public Safety to get an MOU contract between our sheriff's office and with DPS. Basically, that's where we get different monies that help us and assist us with our enforcement of immigration, human smuggling, drug smuggling, and that type of activity. So yeah, we get $100,000 out of this contract to be able to assist us in that efforts. That's what we're asking the approval for, is to be able to accept that.
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Arizona Department of Public Safety Memorandum of Understanding Agreement number 2023-091.
And I'll second that motion, and that motion carries. And by the way, Sheriff, in order to get these reoccurring annual grants, there's quite a bit of performance. So we see that in our agenda packets. A lot of things that you have to do as far as reporting and compliance. And
yes.
It's great that to know that those are all taken care of, that we are in good standing, and that we continue to receive those funds, because some of those are fairly rigorous requirements. So thank you for your department qualifying year after year.
Yes, well, thank you very much. And a lot of it rolls into our next one that we have, which is our approval of the Department of Administration. There's our 911 program grant agreement. That is also another one that's very similar to the last one. We are the only agency that the Sheriff's Office, well, we dispatch all emergency personnel here in Graham County, Stafford, Thatcher, Pima. DPS has their own dispatch. Our medical, we'll get the 911 calls, but then it's rolled over to their dispatch through medical stuff. But as far as the law enforcement portion, yeah, we handle all the rest of that. And that's what this agreement is here, is that we have that assistance in keeping our 911 programs up and operating like it needs to be, so we can handle those calls.
Thanks. I'm not aware of any outages or closures of 911 recently, and so please thank Scott and all your department for doing a great job with that. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the ADOA's 911 program grant agreement.
And I will certainly second that. It's imperative service. We have to have that, so I'll second that.
Okay.
Then just for your info also is also here in the audience today is one of our only people that have ever retired from our dispatch system, and that's Teresa Bigler. And she did a wonderful job for a lot of years for the Sheriff's Office, but she's one of the only ones that have ever stuck it out for the full ball of wax. And she did, yeah, she did a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff, for that impromptu recognition. Our next item of business, we'll go ahead and hear from our Josh Halverson, who is takes care of courts and probation matters for the county.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and everyone. So yes, I am here representing the Superior Court. We have 7 items, 7 contracts. This is to, each one of these are individual contracts with individuals specific to our indigent defense representation. And a lot of the details and the information as far as what changed, we talked through in some of our budget hearings, and I've worked with county staff to go through those details. The first one is request for approval of the Adult Indigent Defense Agreement with Attorney Rebecca R. Johnson for fiscal year 2024. Happy to answer any questions with this or any of these requests.
Any comments, concerns?
No, none here.
I would just note that the people aren't aware that our county spends, I think, over $500,000 now. It's come almost to the point where it's $500,000 a year, and we have a number of really excellent attorneys who represent the indigent people who either can't pay or say that they can't pay, and we make a significant investment in providing. Of course, it's required by law to provide indigent defense, but we from what I hear, we have a very good indigent defense team, and it's as we do it as more reasonably than many other counties, but it's still a significant investment. So, and Rebecca Johnson is one of the really I don't know if you can single her out. They're all quite excellent. We retain them year after year. I'll make the motion that we go ahead and approve the Indigent Defense Agreement, the 1-year agreement for Rebecca Johnson, attorney.
Second.
Make that unanimous. Next.
Thank you. The next is the approval of the Juvenile Indigent Defense Agreement with Attorney Rebecca R. Johnson for fiscal year 2024.
Comments?
None.
Well, in addition to her 140 case load that she is assigned, then there's an opportunity. She has some time, and she dedicates that to taking care of defending juveniles and their families, and it's a much smaller contract dollar-wise, but it's no less important. I'll make a motion that we approve the Rebecca Johnson Juvenile Indigent Defense Contract,
Second.
and that's for 2024, and makes it unanimous.
Thank you. The next one is our Adult Indigent Defense Agreement with Attorney Josie Lopez for fiscal year 2024. It's same type of contract with the other attorneys, but yeah.
And this is a recurring, I mean, she continues to serve well, and we're renewing this. It's not a brand-new contract, so.
No, sir, and all of the attorneys that I'm presenting agreements for today have well over 10 years' experience working with the court, with the county, serving the court very diligently.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve the adult indigent defense with Josie Lopez for 2024.
And I'll second that, and that motion carries.
Thank you. And then the next is the approval of the Juvenile Indigent Defense Contract or Agreement with Attorney Josie Lopez for fiscal year 2024. And in that, it includes that she represents also our juvenile drug court program as part of that.
I will say that juvenile drug court is an amazing program, and it's thank you very much for keeping that going along with the drug courts. Both been very successful programs, so thank you very much. And I'll make a motion to approve the juvenile indigent defense contract with Josie Lopez for 2024.
And I'll make that unanimous and note that the drug courts, although they're highly recommended, they are not required by law. And this is something that our county judicial system does as a way of giving people a chance to turn their lives around and to take care of some of the root causes, the fundamental problems that they're having, which and their lawlessness or their deviation from the law is usually symptomatic of a deeper problem, and so that makes it gives people a real chance to turn around. So thank you.
Thank you for that, and I agree, and I'll make a very quick plug. Every Monday at 4 p.m., upstairs courtroom, anyone's welcome to come observe adult drug court. It's a great program. The next item is approval of the indigent defense contract with Attorney Dennis McCarthy for fiscal year 2024, and his contract also includes the representation he provides for our community wellness program, which is our mental health program.
Very good. Any
No.
discussion?
Make a motion to approve adult indigent defense contract with Attorney Dennis McCarthy for 2024.
And I'll make that unanimous. That motion carries.
Thank you. The next one, and we're almost done, getting there. Approval of the adult indigent defense agreement with Attorney Daisy Flores for fiscal year 2024.
Very good. And these are all approved or provided. We get this list of that our Superior Court judge says these they approve that every year. Say they would recommend that these people be appointed. Is that right, or serve? It's not at our discretion. It's really a recommendation, and then of course they have to say that they're willing.
Good question. Yeah, no, I think I understand your question. Yes, so the presiding judge of the Superior Court, Judge Peterson, looks at and vets these individuals. And as I mentioned, these are individuals that have worked with us for many years. But as new attorneys come and might participate with contracts or different types of services, like the judge vets them. I believe he discusses that with other judges. We also verify that they are state bar certified and that they're in good standing.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the adult indigent defense agreement with Attorney Daisy Flores for 2024.
Seconded and approved. Motion carries.
Thank you. And then the last one is approval of adult indigent defense contract with Attorney Barry Standiford for fiscal year 2024.
Also make a motion to approve the adult indigent defense contract with the Barry Standiford for fiscal year 2024.
And I'll second that motion, and that is carries, it's approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have our Health Department Director, Brian Douglas, who has a half dozen items of business.
I was going to bring up a bottle of water because there's going to be a lot of talking. Good morning, everyone. I have 8 items today, and 7 of the 8 items are our annual medical provider contracts who help the health department and the detention center to operate on a daily basis. And on our first item, it's requested the board approve the detention center inmate agreement with Mount Graham Regional Medical Center for outpatient and inpatient, in addition, emergency room hospital visits. And that the county agrees to pay Mount Graham Regional Medical Center to the established access medical reimbursement rates for hospital services for our inmates.
Very good. That's, they provide excellent service, and I'm grateful that we aren't transporting to Globe or Wilcox or Bisbee. Not even, I guess Bisbee's the, so I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve this recurring contract, detention center inmate agreement with Mount Graham Regional Medical Center.
And I will second that.
Okay, that carries. Next.
As requested, the board approve an agreement with Emily Riddle to provide mental health consultation for the United Way Mental Health Behavioral Health Program. Emily has actually helped us as an intern for our United Way Mental Health Program since last December. And she was instrumental in helping develop a postpartum depression program at Mount Regional Medical Center as an intern. She has a bachelor's degree in international public health, emphasizing in mental health for women. 2 of our mental health contractors are leaving here at the end of June, and we'd like to replace Emily with those 2 who are leaving.
Very good. Any discussion?
Yeah, Brian, it seems to me like that we're really concentrating in the county, and outlying people are really concentrating now heavily on mental health behavior, so I applaud you for that.
Absolutely.
It's a much needed service. You've got programs going, and we've had seminars on that, a lot of public participation, and hopefully we can get a handle on this and do some good for this area. So I just want to thank you on that one. That being said, approve the agreement with Emily Riddle to provide mental health consultation for United Way Mental Behavioral Health Program.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I'll second that and make that unanimous. It carries.
And this would be possible if it wasn't for the United Way helping us out with this grant.
Yep. And the people who contribute to the United Way,
Yes.
who fund it.
Yes.
All the hardworking employees of different entities in the county.
It's requested the board approve an agreement with Dr. Susan Jones as the Detention Center Medical Director. And the medical director oversees the county detention medical unit. And Dr. Jones, she's with Gila Valley Clinic, has agreed to continue to serve in this position at a rate of $1,500 a year. And in addition, provide obstetrician services to female inmates, and obstetrician services for female inmates at 125, well woman exams at 200, and ultrasounds at 125. And there's no increase this year from last year.
I think she's done this for several years about that same price, so she is very much appreciated. You're not going to get a better deal than that.
Right.
We appreciate her dedication to that and providing that service. So I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Dr. Susan Jones as Detention Center Medical Director.
I'll make that unanimous, and it is noteworthy what she continues to do for the county.
Okay. The fourth item, it's requested the board approve an agreement with Dr. Lauren Schiff to provide mental health, as a mental health provider for our detention medical unit via telehealth. The detention center requires mental health services to be provided to inmates, and Dr. Schiff has agreed to continue to provide mental health services to our detention center, and the provider will be paid $2,000 per month. Dr. Lawrence has been with us for at least, I believe, six or 7 years, and this is his first increase, and he increased his fees by $100 per year. I'm sorry, not per year, per month.
Another great effort, mental health. So I make a motion to approve agreement with Dr. Lawrence Schiff as mental health provider for detention medical unit.
And I'll make that unanimous. That motion carries.
And the fifth item, it's request of the board agree to approve an agreement with Gila Valley Clinic to provide family planning services to the health department clients. The provider shall be paid $35 for each family planning physical examination and an additional $90 for an IUD placement, $15 for each follow-up examination.
Very good.
And there's, in addition, there's not an increase to this as well.
Yep. There's almost too much information, but I'll go ahead and make the motion that we go ahead and approve the agreement with Gila Valley Clinic to provide family planning services with their health department.
Second.
That makes it unanimous. The motion carries. We're on the home stretch, Brian.
Yes.
3 more.
On the sixth item, it's a request of the board approve an agreement with Dr. Catherine Romero to act as the health department superintendent of health. And Dr. Romero, she's with Gila Valley Clinic, has agreed to serve for another year as our superintendent, and reimbursement for these services is set at $2,000 per year.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with Dr. Catherine Romero to act as health department superintendent of health.
Thank you. I hope that she gets a Christmas card every year.
She does.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, and the seventh item is request of the board approve an agreement with Dr. Matthew Sampson to provide tuberculosis control services. Arizona Department of Health Services requires all county health departments to delegate a tuberculosis control physician. And Dr. Sampson has been doing this for us for 7 or 8 years now at $2,000 a year.
Very good.
Brian, do we have a lot of tuberculosis or in the county?
We're seeing more of it,
Are
yes.
we really? Wow. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Dr. Matthew Sampson to provide tuberculosis control services.
And I'll make that unanimous, and that motion carries. And would note that anytime you have the influx of immigrants from other parts of the world that doesn't have tuberculosis, enough inoculations and monitoring, you're going to see an increase. So
It's very infectious.
Yeah.
It spreads pretty quickly. And finally, it's request of the board approve an agreement with Josh Benson, a physician's assistant, to continue serving as a detention center provider. Josh, he conducts clinics at our detention center at least twice a week, and also per phone call, with phone calls. And his contract is at $80 per inmate for each visit, $35 for a phone order, and for more in-depth services, $100 for dermatological exam, and $150 for a level 2 visit, and a $190 visit that requires a medical procedure.
You know, I'm glad there's so many people here today. I know they're not here to hear all this, but it just shows you, it amazes me how much the county provides to everybody. And I'm glad you can see what we really have to do on our budgeting and the services that we do have to provide. So I'm glad you're here to hear that and maybe understand a little bit more of the services we provide. So with that being said, I'll approve the agreement with Josh Benson, PAC, to continue serving as a detention provider.
well said. I'll make that unanimous, and that motion carries. Thank you very much, Brian.
Okay, thank you.
Next we have, now this is Sheriff, this is the one I was referring to. It's McCoy Hawkins. So you'll learn a little bit about it. He's here. This is about it's the next one, okay. It is a Monday morning. I'm not going to play the age card. I'll just say it's Monday. Go ahead, McCoy.
Good morning. I'm here to get your approval for agreement with Motorola for our public safety communication system refresh. As you're aware, this has been ongoing for several years. 3 years ago, we upgraded our microwave infrastructure. So now we're going to enter into a contract to replace the rest of the system with a grant that PJ and Jeff had went out and received with some help from some of their staff. So the Arizona Department of Military and Emergency Affairs will be providing the money for this grant opportunity for us to finish our two-way radios for our squad cars and in our deputies' cars and the cities and the towns. This also includes 40 radios, I believe, and 80 portable walkie-talkies, and maybe that's reversed, but that's for all of the county squad cars. The cities will be looking for their own money for their own vehicles, but we're gonna replace the infrastructure and our own radios with this grant.
Discussion?
Yeah, I was looking at the packet on this, McCoy, and it's crazy how much equipment that you have bought into this and what we're providing this service for. It's just mind-boggling what I've seen and how much the change is gonna be and the impact it's gonna have on us. So thank you for the sheriffs and for going after this grant and getting this money for us, and thank you for your work. You want me to motion?
Yes, please.
Make a motion to approve agreement with Motorola Solutions for Public Safety Communication System Refresh Project.
And gratefully, I'll make that, second the motion to make that unanimous, and it carries. Thank you very much, McCoy.
Thank you.
Now we have we're just about done with our meeting. We have 2 other items and 3 other items, and then call to the public. So thank you for your patience as we work through this. Go ahead. We're going to turn the next 2 over to our county manager, Dustin Welker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the item we've been waiting for.
Okay, good.
As you're well aware, a few meetings ago, the board approved an agreement with ASTRAX, which stands for Arizona Traffic and Criminal Software. This is a software that ADOT uses, Arizona Department of Transportation, to keep track of all the traffic records, accident records, and so forth throughout the state of Arizona. We have certainly, previous to this, the Sheriff's Office has reported accidents and incidents through paper copies to ADOT. In recent months, we've committed to buying some additional equipment for the Sheriff's Office that will help this process significantly in their vehicles. What this agreement is an agreement between the county and ADOT for us to be able to access this software, this ASTRAX software through ADOT, and we can, rather than sending them paper copies and so on, and ADOT entering those in, our officers and staff will be able to enter that information in the software on our own home base, on our own computers, and that'll go into the system, and then we'll also be able to access that information, which is probably the biggest positive to this agreement. We can be able to access crash records and accidents more readily and accurately be able to input those. So that's what this agreement is. This one is with ADOT to be able to input and access data into their software, and this is at no cost to the county.
Terrific and very, very timely, probably overdue, but it's great to have it.
No discussion on it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the data access exchange agreement with ADOT for crash data.
And I will second that.
And so that carries and it's approved. Next, we have an opportunity to share activities, opportunities to serve responsibilities in our community and at the statewide and even nationwide level. And so this, we'll start with Vice Chairman Howard, gives him a chance to review the last 2 weeks of his assignments and the things that he's able to do on behalf of the county.
I'll be real brief for time constraints. Of course, I always attend the Gila Valley Irrigation District meeting on the 6th and the Drug Coalition as well. And then my other regular is the Pima Town Council. I attend them. One of my more entertaining parts of my month is to go to Pima Town Council. And I attended the Thatcher 4th of July meeting that I'm helping on, and the Downtown Association meeting on the 14th, elected officials meeting on the 15th. I had a brief meeting on Saturday. Dustin went with me to Fort Thomas, and we had some issues down there and got to visit with the people of Fort Thomas and had a great visit with them and a little bit of discussions on some problems, and we made headway on. So I also attended briefly the Clontz event there at the Safford Park here on Saturday as well. And that'll be the end of my report briefly.
Thank you. Starting Monday, June 5th, there was a Arizona Department of Housing case conferencing for people who were homeless and basically getting people from, and a lot of these are mothers with kids, and it gives them an opportunity to be reviewed and then given housing assignments and opportunities to have a safe place for their families. So I was part of that on Monday. Tuesday, there was a planning meeting for a Rural Transportation Advisory Advocacy Council, which I chair. It's a statewide, and we're looking at how we will present needs from each of the counties and councils of governments and metropolitan planning organizations to get funds from the state legislature. Last year, we had nearly $800,000 in rural Arizona receive funding. Of course, there was a large surplus, but that was there was a significant amount of money that came because of requests and then our legislators being responsive. And this is above and beyond the plans for ADOT, their 5-year plan. So that was good. And then I attended a Gila Valley Veteran Services meeting. I'm on the board, and we discussed the upcoming 4th of July and also the Veterans Day. Wednesday morning, there was an organizational meeting for mental health awareness, 5K, 10K run. This is an annual event, and we're going to add bikes. This is on the campus of Discovery Park, and we're going to add a bike race to it for a short course bike race. And then the following day, there was some training and a school board meeting. And then on Saturday, there was a town hall that was called in Solomon that I went and talked about some of the county services that are available. And then Safe House had a cornhole tournament and utilized the fairgrounds. We're very pleased with the quality of facilities, and it turned out really nicely for the Safe House. And then that followed that up on Monday with a board meeting for the Safe House. They're getting ready to purchase property for a Safe House satellite location in Greenlee County. And Safford City Council meeting that evening, Historical Society meeting the next, budget work session, and then a government briefing from the governor's office and Desert Cat Rescue. These are just some of the things that I enjoy doing. My wife says, well, you got to slow down, but I guess there's a song that says, I'll be mellow when I'm dead. And that's my plan. And then to finish off, we had an elected officials meeting, and then I was able to stop by Saturday to the event that was very well done at the park, first of its kind, for the to bring awareness to the very, very significant problems we have on on our highway corridors. And so that's my report, and I'll turn the time over to you, Dustin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I'll just provide an update on some of our projects as we near the end of the fiscal year. We continue to have contractors out at the fairgrounds working on different projects that have been bid out. Pleased to announce that the snack bar awning and the gazebo over at the duck ponds, those two projects have now been completed. Installing the rubber tiles at the new playground is underway, and that is through our community development block grant. We've received our drinking fountains on that project, and our staff out there has been installing those. Fairgrounds painting, that was a very large painting project. They're about 90% done and are trying to finish by the end of the fiscal year. An update on our respite center. The board committed to put in $250,000 for that facility, and the contractor is moving at a good pace. They're looking at painting the interior and finishing up the exterior here shortly. Their finish date, they're aiming for August. Update on our budget. Thank you, board, for all the budget meetings that you endured, some of them up to 6 hours long, and we appreciate how studious and diligent you were in helping us make those critical decisions. And on July 17th will be the preliminary budget adoption. On July 3rd, we will have on the agenda to fill the vacancy of Supervisor Smith. As you're well aware, we advertised for applications for Supervisor Smith, and that closed last Thursday, and we received 7 applications, and we will distribute those applications to the board this afternoon. Finally, one other project, the Gila River Fire Mitigation Project. That is a project made up of 3 different grants through the Department of Fire and Forestry at the state level. We just wrapped up one of those grants, and as we finish this fiscal year, we have our herbicide contractor in there spraying our 8 fire breaks for the last time this summer. And our goal, as long as the river cooperates, we'll be back in there after the nesting season, and we'll be removing tamaracks again in the fall. And lastly, I provided in the staff report an update on sales tax revenues from the county and also the state, and those continue to trend in a positive direction, which we're happy to see. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Next, we have call to the public, and we have currently, yes. Thank you. Approval of handwritten warrants? Thank you very much. That's our civil county attorney, Gene Roof, who does a great job of keeping us doing the right thing. So we do need to pay our bills. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the demands and written warrants.
Thank you, and I'll make that unanimous. Thank you very much for your forbearance on that. Now we have call to the public. Two people have signed in, and if you would, there's a suggested 3-minute time limit, and if anyone else would like to sign in and speak, you're welcome to do that at the back of the room. There's a form, and you can hand that up or speak and then hand it in. We are not, under call to the public, we are not able to have a dialogue. It's basically one way. You're telling us your concerns, and we listen, but we can dialogue in work sessions, and that's why we're having a work session after this meeting on a highway safety issue. So we'll start first with Joe Goodman, who's a former planning and zoning director. Welcome back. He's a successful businessman, and will introduce his request.
Good morning.
Morning.
Feels pretty good to be familiar territory. I'm a little embarrassed, though. I heard McCoy was looking for a microwave, so I brought one. Found out it's not the right model. On a serious note, as you know, I left the county to go open Joe's Ride and Dine. It's been a tremendous experience for me, but incredibly grueling. And the Pima store was a help in making sure that that got off the ground and whatnot. And a year and a half ago, went through a divorce. And so I have incurred all of the debt and everything associated with that. And as the land taxes have come due now, I find myself in a position of difficulty and would like to request some kind of a process to meet with you on how to get some relief possibly to help me out for this year. Sales last year were down 10% pretty much all the way around. And just a lot of issues, but you know, I'd just like to request a meeting of some kind or a process in order to see if I can get some assistance on the land taxes for this year that's owed.
Very good.
Thank you.
We'll be in contact?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I would direct you to talk to the assessor's office before you leave. That's where the process starts.
And we can't engage because we are the kind of the court of last appeal of the supervisors, so we will be advised, but we won't be able to be involved in, I don't think, the initial discussion, just because we eventually, if there's an appeal and then we would end up, so.
Okay. Thank you.
But thank you. Thanks for running a real nice class operation south of town, right across from our fairgrounds. It's nice to have a vibrant business there.
Thank you very much. It is who I am. I love it, but it's been a struggle for sure.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we've got James Rogers scheduled to speak.
I go by Homer, so if you want to, that's my first name, but anyway, I put down.
Okay.
During the work session, will there be comments there? Or?
Yes, I've got about half an hour set aside, so we will have an opportunity to go back and forth and ask questions.
Kind of that's what I'm here for.
But if you want to make a statement on behalf of the, to just give a preface to your concerns, you can do that now. And okay, and then we'll see in the work session.
My full name's James Homer Rogers. Bryce Eden, West Bryce Eden Road, 8376. Got that right. Anyway, that's in Pima. That's where we live.
Okay.
We've been there just a little over a year, and we have a daughter that lives in Pima, and we've been coming to the Gila Valley for some time from the White Mountains, and my concern is Highway 70 between Pima and Globe, I call it, but we go 65 miles an hour. It's generally what we do. We're not down to 55 or whatever. But we have some concerns. We've had at least 4 to 5 incidents where we've had to pull off the road because cars are passing to avoid a head-on collision. Thank goodness there was no guardrails there that we were able to do that, but we find it somewhat unsafe, and we take a deep breath once we get to Globe that we made it one more time. And I sympathize with the Clontz family. In July 17, 2005, we lost 2 boys to a head-on collision. So I understand how they feel, and getting that call that there had been an accident. And so I feel for them, and I know how they feel. And it's crazy out there on Highway 70, and the trucks. I mean, we go 65, but we have these trucks, and we understand there's probably 150 trucks a day going back and forth on that road, and they come up right behind us, and it's like if they could say something to us, they'd say, "Get the hell out of the way, would you please?" And so that's another thing that's dangerous to us and that we don't really like. We need more passing lanes between here and Globe. I know they have a couple, but they need more. And it gives people an opportunity to be able to know that there's a passing lane coming up rather than trying to pass on a solid line or whatever. They can at least know that there's one coming up and wait patiently to get there to be able to pass. I did contact ADOT board and tried to email them, but my email kept coming back to comment on their five-year plan. My concern is we need more passing lanes on Highway 70, not more walkways, not more lighting, that type of thing for a 5-year plan. That's basically what we have for this county for the next 5 years. That's what they will be doing. We need, I know the board can have some influence upon ADOT, and I hope that you will, and that you'll listen to these people and their concerns, and we just need more passing lanes, and people, if they could at least obey the speed limit somewhat, keep it down. Everybody's in a hurry on that road, and anyway, I appreciate whatever you guys can do, your influence upon the board or whatever. I know that we have a person here in Graham County that represents us, and so hopefully you guys can do something to help there so that we don't have any more head-on collisions or whatever. There's nothing worse, I can tell you, to get a call. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Thanks for your concern and your willingness to work toward a solution and improvements. Next, we've had Mr. Brandow would like to address us for 3 minutes.
Thank you. This is in reference to the contract with the fire breaks in the river. And I just wanted to inform you, I was out last week, out and about, and we have the early emergence of the Tamarack leaf beetle. They're active basically from Thatcher west. And for those of you that don't know about it, there was a beetle released through a long, extensive process in the early 2000s that is a natural predator, if you want to use that word, of salt cedar. And it was released in Colorado, and it's here in the valley. It's been here for 3 years. And so you will see the salt cedar in different parts of the valley brown out during the summer. Beetles are active from about June through October. And they don't kill them outright. They eat them. They suck the juice out of the leaves and they defoliate. And over time, the plants die. We did have a great winter, and all the salt cedar is really healthy right now. Even the stuff but that's what they're working on is last year's new growth. And so that's good. So as part of that, if you're in the river, please don't start a fire because it'll have a hard time on the beetles. And the last thing is, I'm next door neighbor to Norma Clance and to my friend David in his shop, and I fully support what this family's doing. My wife is a shirt-tail relative, kind of a bizarre connection, but we are relatives, and I thank you for their efforts, and I support that. And whatever's necessary, whatever, I'd love to help proceed with whatever, and I miss them. Thank you.
Thank you. Two other requests to speak, and that is, did you want to go first, or do you want Clint Colvin, and you want to give the closing remarks? Okay, go ahead, Clint. Clint was in attendance and at the event on Saturday supporting the Bigler and the Clance family.
Good morning, gentlemen. Most of you well know me in the past. I've been in here quite a bit. I'm a fifth-generation farmer and also in the transportation business. I am here on behalf of the Clance family. We have seen a dramatic increase on traffic on Highway 70, which we all know. That's a dead horse. We can keep beating it all day long. If you really want to see a show, come down to Eden Road and Highway 70 and just sit there underneath the salt cedar tree before the beetles get it and look at the traffic. It's 20, 30, 40 cars deep. Now we're talking, automotive and stuff like that. But once you start hitting Fort Thomas, Geronimo, you start running into agricultural. We have 12-row equipment, which is equivalent to 6-row wide. But some of this new equipment is equivalent to 8-row wide. That tractor can be all the way over to the right, and that equipment's still hanging over that yellow line. And then it's going 20, 25 at the best miles per hour. And here you got, and I'm gonna say it, you got idiot truck drivers, you got idiot cars. And they're trying to pass because everybody's got a place to go. The gentleman earlier hit it right on the spot. We would love to ask for 4-lane road, but we all know the money, it's gonna take a lot of time. Plus, we have to deal with BIA and the federal government. I think you guys ought to take the opportunity on the political level and use your political that you have in your back pocket to go after those funds. There are funds there. We had them reserved before. We were shut down by the Indians down there. Everybody knows what needs to happen. It's gonna be a very, very long process. But if we could get passing lanes put in the right key areas, that would help out tremendously for those. Most trucks that are on the road today for Freeport-McMoRan, most of them are governed at 68 miles an hour. It's for several reasons. Insurance is the main reason, drops 20% right off the back. Fuel economy, everybody knows fuel's through the roof. There's not a whole lot we can do. But what's scary as hell is to watch a 68 mile an hour vehicle try to pass another 68 mile an hour vehicle. And the only reason why he's got to gain is because his tires are worn maybe a couple thousandths more. So it gives him that advantage. It's really sad. The one passing lane that we did get put in does absolutely no good. It's in the wrong spot. It's on flat ground. It's hell on wheels. It's a free gate opened up to the world and everybody tries passing. As soon as they pass, back to 55. It's a terrible, terrible thing that people have to go through, such as the Clances and several other families. If we look back, when we worked on the reservation, we went to those tribal meetings. They blacken out anything that has to do with tribe. And I'm not saying the tribe is 100% at fault of this. I'm not saying that they have issues, we have issues. But when the insurance companies go to them, they don't know where to really look except for the non-natives because they're the only names that are unblackened on those forms. They need to look at the whole picture. Once you guys look at the whole picture, it's gonna scare the living hell out of you. It is really tough. On our semis, back when we used to run 40 loads a day through that res, and I say the res, I'm talking Eden Road down, Pima down, but our chances of wrecks increase by rocks being thrown through our windows, pellet guns, 22 rifles going through our windows, railroad ties being thrown out at our semis, spare tires being thrown out at our semis at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Literally, I have drivers today tell me on these acid trucks and the end dumps and stuff, man, when I get through, it's just like the gentleman said, when we get to Globe, thank God. But then they had to turn around and come right back through it. So I know my 3 minutes is up, but I appreciate you guys taking the time and listening to these guys' story because it's a well-needed thing.
Thank you, Mr. Colvin, very much. Pamela, did you want to address this? Okay. It's our last comment for the meeting.
Good morning. First of all, before I begin, I want to thank the board for letting me address them in today's meeting. I also want to thank all of those here today supporting our family. Most everyone here knows me, but for those who don't, my name is Pamela Bigler. And here today with me are my sisters Sheila Packer and Lisa Klontz. We're the daughters of David and Sharon Klontz, and I am also the mother to David Mitchell Osberg and Heather Celine. What brings us here today is the tragic and horrific deaths of our parents, David and Sharon Klontz, and the death of my son, David Mitchell Osberg. On April 15th, they were struck on Highway 70 at mile marker 274 in a head-on collision. And that morning, as soon as I got the call, I'm sorry. As soon as I got the call and I was told where the accident was, I knew exactly where it happened. And you might ask me how. And it's because, unfortunately, I've traveled that road every weekend for the last 4 years. And I'm all too familiar with that stretch of the highway being shut down for accidents because I've been stuck in that line waiting for the accident to be cleared. There are no amount of words that will bring our family back, but we knew that something good had to come out of something so horrific. Our family dynamics will be forever altered, but just maybe we can be the driving force for change that will save other families, friends, and entire communities from being affected by the loss of lives, injury, and the fact that people are scared to drive that highway and drive all the way around through Tucson, as I've been informed by several people that have emailed me. We started a campaign in honor of our family called Highway Justice. We asked the people to email us their stories, to sign a petition showing the unity in this effort if they felt there needed to be change made, so that we, as all taxpaying citizens of this country, have safe passage for all. We also had a community event that local businesses supported us by donating several $100s in gift cards and gift baskets because they too stand in unity with us. And I'm just gonna show you the stack of online people that have emailed us and the petitions that were signed in person. We do have a website that you can go to. I have not posted all of the stories. I'm going off script here, but you can, and I will be uploading more stories. Let me find my spot here. So I stand before you today to ask for your help in seeking funds from local, state, and even federal levels to address what we feel must be done to protect the citizens who have elected you to serve and protect the citizens of Graham County. We are campaigning for a divided highway, additional safety pullouts and shoulders, DUI checkpoints, more law enforcement patrolling, and more interagency coordination. The lack of interagency coordination blows my mind. Some of my questions initially that I would like answers to are, when was the last time that 44-mile stretch was evaluated and why? Where did the funds come from for what work has been done? What can be done about the lack of reporting from the tribe to ADOT? And where can I get a copy of the tribal agreement with respect to the state highway? And is there any cross deputization agreements? And what are the various types of funding that are available, and how well does the BIA work in coordination when it comes to state highways and adding lanes and changes to the highway? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and if I hear a motion to adjourn, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting and then move into our work session, and which is going to be right here in the in this little U-shaped area.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So we're adjourned at 9:02, and want to thank from the stand. We've got DPS here, we've got our sheriff's office here. We do, I did hear from ADOT, they won't be able to attend today, but I have a report on some updates from ADOT, and appreciate everyone's presence, and that's Officer Forgash, Calvin Forgash, so, whose dad was loved and remembered and left quite a legacy here in our valley. Was it dad or granddad? Granddad. Granddad, okay, very good. Okay, we're adjourned, and